Two engineers were standing at the base of a flagpole, looking at its top. A blonde walked by and asked what they were doing. "We're supposed to find the height of this flagpole," said Sven, "but we don't have a ladder." The blonde took a wrench from her purse, loosened a couple of bolts, and laid the pole down on the ground. Then she took a tape measure from her handbag, took a measurement, and said, 21 feet and 6 inches, and walked away. One engineer shook his head and laughed. "Typical blonde. We ask for the height and she gives us the length." A husband and wife were in the bathroom getting ready for work when the husband looked at his wife and said, "I gotta have you." He backed her up against the bathroom door, pulled down her underclothes, and ravaged her. He knew he was doing great because she screamed and wiggled more than she ever had before. When he finished, he started putting his clothes back on, and when he noticed his wife still writhing against the door, he said, "That was the best, honey. You've never moved like that before. You didn't hurt yourself, did you?" His wife replies, No, I'll be okay once I can get the doorknob out of my bum." A pastor was enraged when he found a bill for a $250 dress in his wife's purse. "How could you do this?" the pastor cried. "You know we're on an incredibly tight budget." "I know," the woman said, "but the devil himself was shopping with me. He convinced me the dress looked so good I had to buy it." The pastor consoled his wife with a hand on her shoulder. "In those moments, my love, you've got to yell out loud, 'Get behind me, Satan!'" "I did that," the wife explained, and then the cheeky devil said, "The dress looks even better from back here." Every spring, as soon as the snows thawed, a certain mountain woman would come down into town, have a baby, and gather supplies for the summer. After a few years of this, she looked despairingly at the doctor and said, "Doctor, I don't know how much more of this I can handle. We have 8 kids now, and I don't know how we can go on. I gotta do something about having all these babies or I'll lose my mind." The doctor scratched his head and wondered how to gently instruct the woman on how to curb her ordeal, and finally told her to pick up a 10-gallon bucket along with her supplies. "And every night when you go to bed, I want both of your feet in that bucket and don't take them out until morning." So the lady was off, and all of her problems seemed to be solved. That next spring, right on cue, she walked into the doctor's office and promptly delivered another child. "Ma'am, I thought I told you to sleep each night with your feet in a 10-gallon bucket. What happened?" "Well, you see, doctor, the store was all out of 10-gallon buckets, so I just figured 2 5-gallon buckets would do the trick just the same." So after 35 years of marriage, a husband and wife went to see a therapist. When the therapist asked what the problem was, the wife launched into a marathon rant. Neglect, no intimacy, loneliness, feeling unloved, unappreciated, etc. After patiently listening, the therapist calmly got up, walked around the desk, asked the wife to stand, and, right in front of the husband, gave her a long, passionate kiss. The wife sat back down in stunned silence. The therapist turned to the husband and said, "Sir, your wife needs this at least 3 times a week. Can you manage that?" The husband scratched his head and said, "Well, I can drop her off on Mondays and Wednesdays, but Fridays I go fishing." A bodybuilder takes off his shirt and starts flexing in front of a blonde woman. She exclaims, "Wow, what a great chest you have." He says, "Solid dynamite, babe." He then takes off his pants and the blonde says, "Wow, what massive calves you have." He flexes his leg muscles and says, "Like I said, pure dynamite, sweetheart." Then he removes his underwear and the blonde goes running and screaming in fear. He gets dressed and goes chasing after the woman. When he catches up to her, he asks, "Why the hell did you go running off like that?" She replies, "I was afraid to be around all that dynamite when I saw how short the fuse was." A married couple was in a terrible accident where the man's face was severely burned. The doctor told the husband that they couldn't graft any skin from his body because he was too skinny. So the wife offered to donate some of her own skin. However, the only skin on her body that the doctor felt was suitable would have to come from her buttocks. The husband and wife agreed that they would tell no one about where the skin came from, and they requested that the doctor also honor their secret. After all, this was a very delicate matter. After the surgery was completed, everyone was astounded at the man's new face. He looked more handsome than he ever had before. All his friends and relatives just went on and on about his baby face. One day, he was alone with his wife and he was overcome with emotion at her sacrifice. He said, "Dear, I just want to thank you for everything you did for me. How can I possibly repay you?" "My darling," she replied, "I get all the thanks I need every time I see your mother kiss you on the cheek." A man walks into a pharmacy, buys a condom, then walks out of the store laughing hysterically. The pharmacist thinks this is weird, but no laws are preventing weird people from buying condoms. Who knows? Maybe it's a good thing. The next day, the same man comes back to the store, purchases yet another condom, and once again, he leaves the store laughing wildly. This piques the interest of the pharmacist. What could be so funny about buying a condom anyway? So he tells his clerk, "If that guy ever comes back, I want you to follow him to see where he goes." Sure enough, the next day, the same man is back. He buys the condom and again starts cracking up with laughter, then leaves. The pharmacist tells his clerk to follow the guy. About an hour later, the clerk comes back to the store. The pharmacist asks, "Did you follow him? Where did he go?" The clerk replies, "Your house." Two rednecks from Arkansas were out hunting. They decided to separate to get a better chance of catching something. The first redneck says to the other, "If you get lost, fire 3 shots into the air every hour. That way, I can pinpoint you and find you." After about 3 hours, the second redneck finds he is really lost. He decides to fire 3 shots into the air as the first man told him. He then waits an hour and does it again. He repeats this until he is out of ammo. The next morning, the first redneck finds the second with the help of forest rangers. He asks the second redneck if he did what he told him to do. The redneck answers, "Yes, I fired 3 shots into the air every hour on the hour until I ran out of arrows." For a wedding present, Ledbetter gave his son Amos $200. 2 weeks later, he asked him, "What you do with the money, son?" "Ah, bought me a wristwatch, Pappy," answered the boy. "You dumb ignoramus," yelled his father. "You should have bought yourself a rifle." "A rifle? What for?" "Supposin' one day you come home and find some guy sleeping with your wife," explained the older redneck. "What you gonna do? Wake him up and ask him what time it is?" A man, his wife, and a good-looking stranger are stranded on a desert island. The wife quickly loses interest in her husband and begins flirting with the good-looking stranger. The three start to build a watchtower. The stranger offers to take first watch. While the husband and wife gather driftwood on the sand, the stranger yells, "Hey, no sex on the beach! Get back to work!" The husband yells back, "We're not having sex!" Later, the stranger yells out to them again. Again, the husband yells back and corrects him. This happens several times during the stranger's shift. Finally, the husband takes his shift in the watchtower. His wife and the good-looking stranger make passionate love on the beach. The husband on watch exclaims, "Wow, it really does look like fucking from up here."